guys, welcome back to another video. Today is going to be a little tutorial for y'all. Today I wanted to show you guys how to make two colored layered vinyls, and then I'm going to go ahead and show you the whole process from Adobe Illustrator and to Cameo, as well as putting it together. So let's go ahead, we're going to hop on the computer real quick and I'll show you guys how to get this done. Alright, what's up guys? So right now I am on Adobe Illustrator. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys everything that you need to do here first before we head to Cameo. So this is my working file, but this one was the final one that I chose. So these are already vectorized and all that, but we're going to work with this one right here. So I brought this into another document so I can show you guys what I'm doing here. So this text, I've already pretty much vectorized this shape right here. This one, we need to create the shape, or I'm sorry, not the shape, but kind of get rid of that intersecting line. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to ungroup this, and we're going to go ahead and press Control C and then Control F. This pastes another, basically the shape right on top of itself. And then you're also going to need to go ahead and select this and this. And what you're going to do is you're going to go to Pathfinder and you're going to click this one. This one is minus front. And basically what happened is that it took this heart shape and it deleted out of this chunk. So it looks like there was 3, so I could just delete that. But basically now there's, nothing right there. That's what you don't want, because this is the one that intersects. Now same thing with this one. This one doesn't have another one, so go ahead and press Control C, Control F. So try that one more time. There we go. So basically what happened, probably didn't copy, but it's the same process as this one. And if you're wondering how I got this little intersection, it's going to be the same thing. But what you're going to want to do is usually outline is a little bit better. I'll do Control C, Control F, and then I'll just scale it, right? And I'll pull it down to where I think it's going to look good, like maybe right there, right? So it's a little bit off because I've already cut it, but basically if that's where I want it, I would do the same. I would highlight these two and then minus front, but we don't really need that, so I'm just Control Z. Okay, so once we have our shape, just go ahead and do like a quality check, make sure everything's vectorized, everything's all good. And it looks like everything's good. So when this cuts on the Cameo machine, it's going to cut around right here, and it's not going to overlap. So once we have that, go ahead, select all. I'm going to actually go ahead and group, and then if you haven't saved your file already, go ahead and save, and we're going to go export as, and then I do already have a DXF file, so go ahead and choose the .dxf and then go ahead and export. But I'm not going to do that, I already have that. So once you do that, we're going to go ahead and head over to Cameo 4. So I have Cameo 4 open. I've already have the files laid out, but let me just show you a brief let me actually just show you briefly what it's all going to look like and what you're going to have to print. So this one is the complete. This one has both the hearts and text as well as the registration mark. This one is going to be just the text with the registration mark, and then this one is going to be the heart with the registration marks. Now, the registration marks is important because that's what you're going to be using to line up the squares from this page on the hearts with the squares on the text. I'm going to open a new document. I'm going to show you guys from scratch everything. So to do that, you just drag and drop, right? So this is not a compound path or anything yet, but what I'm going to do first, lock your ratios, because I'm going to rescale this because I want the width to be 5.5, and then it's going to automatically adjust the height for me so that the ratio is the same. What's important is that you go ahead, you're going to highlight this, right? You're going to do make compound path. So once you do that, go ahead and you're going to release compound path. And what that does is that every shape, so let's say this one, that's its own shape. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to just go ahead, highlight, make sure the little circles are grouped. And then we're going to shift and click this one as well, the K. And we're going to press Control G. And that way the text is in one group. Now I'm going to press Control Z and undo. And I'm going to do the same with the hearts. Go ahead and highlight over the hearts. You could right click and then you could also click group as well. And now you have the hearts in one group. That's how you separate the two images and layers, because I know for sure I want the hearts red and then the bad look or the text to be white. So that's why we did that. Next you want to do is make your registration mark. So you're going to click over here. This is going to be like your shape builder tool, and you're also going to go over to this little fill and then click that, and it should, on the left hand right here, should say that it's going to fill it up. So the best registration marks are probably a square. I would probably do a little bit higher than your text. So this every like square right here, every 1, 2, 3, 4 is an inch. I would probably do it like maybe half an inch or maybe like right up here. And it doesn't matter how big it is, just do it right here. And it doesn't, I guess it really depends. I'm probably going to put it closer to the heart just because I know this is where I need to line it up more perfectly. So I'll leave the registration mark there. I'm going to go ahead and click and hold Alt at the same time. I'll probably do it right there. And I think that should be good. Let me just move it up just a little bit. Now, the reason why I'm doing it pretty high up, this leaves about like maybe half an inch. It's because I want to make room so I can actually, once I put the transfer tape on, I could cut the vinyl out without worrying that I cut it too short and have to, you know, make like a precision cut. I have more workspace, which means more room to work. And that way I don't have to be too specific on like how far. So leaving this room is going to be perfect for me. I'll go ahead and move this heart closer. Maybe this one like right there too. I think that'll be perfect. So I'll leave it like that. So what you're going to want to do is you're actually going to want to make another document. Now make sure that it's going to be the same. I always recommend doing it on a cutting mat. So I have it on the 12 by 12 and then 12 by 12 media size. So go ahead. We're going to open up another document. It's going to be cutting mat 12 by 12 and 12 by 12. And what you're going to do is you're going to just set up and you're going to group real quick to make sure nothing moves around. And you know, let's say you want to do 4, so we're just going to make 4. So what I'm doing here is I'm just highlighting the group that I created, and what I'm doing is pressing Alt and dragging at the same time and holding Shift right after, so that like it keeps it lined up. And for the sake of the video, I will just do 3. What I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of that, and what we're going to do is we're going to click this alignment. Just to, you know, clean it up. I don't understand why sometimes like when I move stuff around it's never aligned. So I always like to align it. This one, make sure it is lined up to the center of all of them. And this one, just make sure that it's all vertically spaced properly. This button right here. It usually gauges from this one, the first or top selection to the bottom selection. And when you press the vertical spacing, it'll just make sure that everything in the middle is aligned evenly between these two. We're going to go ahead and select all of this. We're going to copy. We're going to go on our next page. We're going to paste, and this is where it gets tricky, right? So this one, I want it to be strictly the text. So I'll just delete that. All right, delete the hearts. All right. And what I can do again is just regroup. Again, regroup this and regroup this. And I'm just pressing Control G, guys, shortcuts. Now for this one, I want only the hearts, right? So it looks like I can ungroup this because I have to ungroup. So for this one, we only want the hearts, right? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to highlight our text, make sure we don't touch the heart or anything. Delete. Same thing with the K. And we're just going to delete. Same thing. Oops. This is where I guess it really depends on how you want to work. Notice there's all this room right here. This is going to be a waste of vinyl, but if you're going to try to mass produce, and by mass produce I mean doing one of these sheets at the same time, I would probably just recommend leaving the space here. That way you know that this is the correct width for the transfer tape that you need, and it'll land in the same position. But if you want to save space, you could definitely go ahead and move this over and save some room when you're cutting the vinyl, because you only need to place the heart on top of this. Now, once you have all of this set up, you're basically going to go ahead and just cut one of each. Obviously have it in different colors. So for the heart, I have it set at, let's see, speed 5, force 15, but I'm going to do 16 because I'm going to do the cutting mat. And I noticed for me that works a lot better when I have the cutting mat too. And I'm going to do the same for the other file. And once you have that all loaded up properly, just go ahead and click send, and then just go ahead and you're going to have your vinyl ready. Files all ready. We're going to go ahead and proceed to cut. I just usually like to line it up at the edge, and most of the times it should sit flat. So I just try to do the edge first. Perfect. Okay, and go ahead and just be careful when we're smoothing this out. We don't want it to bend. And what I like to do is I like to flip this around. Only because using a squeegee on the front side will probably scratch your vinyl, and I'll just kind of, you know, with like medium firm pressure, just give it like a nice little squeege, and it should adhere to the adhesive. And I have this little blower for my photography stuff, so we're just gonna blow some of the stuff away that caught on there. Okay. So I have the vinyls cut. You can't really see because it's not weeded and everything, but we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut this out first because I do have a lot of portion of the white that I want to preserve. So I have this little Fisker, I guess you could call it paper cutter. I bought from Target. It was like 20 bucks, and honestly, it's pretty handy. Just because it's pretty accurate. So let me go ahead and we're just gonna cut these up real quick, and I'll show you guys what. So it's important to have these registration marks because you're going to use them to line the heart's registration mark with the text registration mark. And I'm going to show you how to do this too because it's a little tricky, but with practice you'll get the hang of it, and the way to do it too is kind of important. So also, you know, just got to make sure we got to weed out everything too. So again, I was talking about how you could kind of maybe, if you wanted to, you could do two. Lining it up would probably be pretty hard. So for the sake of this video, we're going to be just using one. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to cut these up again. I already know there's a lot of room on top, so what we don't have is a lot of room on the bottom. So I'm going to cut pretty close to the registration marks on top. That way we have like all this workspace right here, right? I'm going to do this one more time. Same thing, making sure we have enough workspace. So right there. And look at that. Bunch of workspace. Same thing with this one. You just want to get really close to it because you're going to be transferring this one on. So, you know, as good as you can get it. Doesn't really have to be too good. Cool. All right, let me explain this one more time because this is the most important part. So you have your heart, right, and you have your text. What's important is how big your masking tape should be. You're not going to make a masking tape the size of the heart. You want it to be at least this size because this is going to be your final backing paper, right? And so to do that, I've actually saved one of like the old like vinyls that I haven't used. This is the backing of the old vinyl paper. What you're going to want to do, it really depends. My room is really dusty. So, and I clean it every day, but I still get dust from my computer. So what I'm going to do is actually have the adhesive side facing up. And I'm going to do maybe this much so I have room to work. I'm going to leave the BADLOOK text right there so I could see it. Now, what's important is that you don't, let me move this up. What's important is that you don't flip the text that you want, especially when you're doing the adhesive side up this way, because when you go to turn your transfer tape, it's going to be on the wrong side. So what you're going to want to do is actually have it upside down, right? And so the registration mark's on the bottom. And I'm going to just go ahead and put it in the middle. I'll put it maybe like right here. So go like that. And what I'm going to do is now we're just going to make a cut. It doesn't have to be perfect because we have lots of room to work. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to flip this over. Now look, now the registration mark is on the same side. If I did it where I just turned it, it would have been on the left side, and that's not what we want. So now that we have it on the transfer tape, I'm going to take this backing paper from like old vinyl I used. I'm just going to press it down. And we're going to grab our squeegee. We're going to go ahead and just make sure the heart sticks on this. So now that we have it on the adhesive, we're just going to go ahead and peel it slow. All right. Cool. Now it's on a separate backing paper. Okay. Now this is kind of like curved. So what you can do is mask tape or use masking tape to put this down. But so what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna basically just move this transfer tape up. This is how you want it. So you see how the registration mark is above the backing paper and the heart is going to be on the paper? That's what you want. Okay. Now that your heart is on the paper, you can move this around without, worrying that it's going to hit. Now all you have to do, simple, is just make sure both squares are lined up and, take your time. Make sure they're lined up left and right. So this is the big backing paper, right? This is the backing paper of the text. Lined it up with the square, right? Now the transfer tape is just as big as all of this. That's why we need to make enough room for everything. So we're for sure that it's going to be enough because this is our final tape. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead is just slowly lift and make sure this is like all, press down, make sure it's all good. What you can do is we're gonna lift. All right, move this slowly, and we're just gonna lay this down right there. All right, so this is our final backing paper, right? Now what you can do is just, take a X-Acto knife, and you could just, slightly trim the edges. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're gonna cut off the excess anyways. That's why I said it's good to have extra room on your design, because now you can make your final cuts look more perfect by doing that. So move this out the way how I want it, make sure it's straight, and we're gonna take off more of the excess. Okay, all right, and now that you've trimmed everything, this is gonna be your final result. Really important that you guys use a registration mark and kind of have like the extra backing paper. That way you can just shift it around and pretty much line it up without having it stick to your actual text and then ruining that. But that's basically how you do it. It's super easy. You could do this with multiple colors. It's the same process. You just instead of using this as the final, final design, you would just pick all the text back up and then do the same process again with the registration marks, and you just keep layering and layering and layering until you get the desired design that you want. But that's it, guys. That's how you do this. That's how you layer the vinyls. All right, guys. So what do you think? Two colored layered vinyls. You could do this obviously with any color. Obviously, this one is very specific to this design, but the method and use of the registration box is the same. Definitely tried it out. This is probably the best way I figured how to do it. I haven't really figured out how to do, I guess you could say, like multiple at once, because sometimes they don't align properly, but this is a great way to get started in doing more than just one colors for your decals. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, guys. Make sure you guys like this video. Go ahead and comment down below thought about the video, and make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. But I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here. Thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.